really screwed up chat. Alright, what's going on is that I'm here at the Post Millennial, and they're doing an article on Andy Ngo and what happens in Portland recently. And if you don't know, Andy Ngo is a journalist. Sorry, that's a little blood if you don't like that. Got beat up pretty bad. Well, and if you don't know, Andy Ngo is an independent journalist, much like as provides most of the individuals who provide the most accurate reporting in the news media right now. These are the individual news reporters, agents, the agents of truth, or whatever they want to call themselves. They tend to be centrist individuals, and seems to be one of the better ones. But this incident has me questioning some of his choices. But I primarily want to know why, and if I'm right, I 100% agree with how he went about it. If it's not, then that's what it is. And I'll make my choices then. Like anyone who actually has half a brain. So, as the story goes, prominent journalist Andy Ngo, an expert on the antifa movement, is speaking out after he was chased and assaulted by black-clad antifa extremists Friday night while covering the latest far-left protests in Portland. 1 second. Sorry, no one wanted to hear that. Well, any which way. He was there once again, and one of the things Andy Ngo has been doing, he has been hiring people to go do the reporting for him, which is why begs the question, why was he there personally? Now, don't get me wrong. If he did, as a journalist and one of the few ones I've ever seen who actually hold any type of journalistic integrity, Andy Ngo going to a area of contention is exactly what I applaud, honestly. The downside is that he knew it'd be dangerous. 2 years ago, I believe, he was attacked on the job, ended up beating to be unconscious, and spent several days in the hospital with a brain hemorrhage. Luckily, it only affected his speech in minor ways. He was able to get enough treatment before any permanent damage took hold. But yeah, it is. He had to know that they recognized his face, considering there have been several assaults on Korean, Japanese, and Chinese individuals in these areas, especially Portland, where Andy Ngo lives. Of them accusing, all of them, all the Antifa accusing these individuals of being Andy Ngo. I've seen at least 8 different videos of 8 different people who definitely did not look like Andy Ngo in any way being accused. The first one was back in February of 2020, and saw Andy Ngo walking around with a face mask. It was just right after the face mask recommendation came out, before the CDC suggested it, that all states start enforcing it. But there was a gentleman walking through Portland, and then he would be accused of being Antifa, and then he turned around and started talking to him, and by his accent and his mannerisms, it clearly wasn't. Andy Ngo has a very unique set of behavior that's indicative of a cultural group he's part of. I'm not going to get into that, because that's what's the word? Well, not important to the story. Suffice it to say, the guy didn't have the same flamboyant nature. Well, on Friday, May 28th, Antifa tried to kill him again, Andy Ngo. At least to his statement here. Statement on May 28, 2021, Antifa assault. No journalist in America should ever face violence for doing his or her job. Yet on Friday 28, Antifa tried to kill me again while I was reporting on the ongoing protest of riots in Portland, Oregon, for my new chapter of my book, if I remember the tweet correctly. Now let's bring that up. Book, Unmasked Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. I was chased, attacked, and beaten by a masked mob, baying for my blood. Had I not been able to shelter, wounded and bleeding inside a hotel while they beat the doors and windows like animals, there is no doubt in my mind that I would not be here today. Their word, like their actions, speak for themselves. And here are Some rather disturbing screen grabs. Well, for those of you more distasteful towards foul language like myself, that one got me. I'm not reading these out loud mainly because I don't want to be accused of hate speech, because dang, that's not right. Antifa wants, continue quote from Andy Ngo, Antifa wants me dead because I document what they want to stay hidden. The attacks against me and the threats on my life are retribution for my work as a journalist, recording the tactics and truly ideology of extremist clandestine movement relies on deception and regards to the truth as the greatest threat of all. They want to fight to hide their identities behind masks and erase records of their arrests and alleged crime. They want me dead for capturing these things and reporting, but it is the right of every journalist protected and preserved by the Founding Fathers to report freely without fear. I was forced to flee my home in Portland last year as the death threats escalated, but returned recently to take care of my elderly family. When I engaged in field reporting for my book, I did that every beat reporter would. I took care to mitigate the risks. Went to observe Antifa firsthand during the demonstration at Justice Center. Like many other journalists, Antifa has tried to silence, intimidate through violence. I had to cover my face and eyes to do my job and to stay alive. As an Asian Vietnamese, as a son of Asian, and as the Asian son of Vietnamese immigrants, also I have been mindful of Antifa's attack on multiple people of Asian origin. And here's a quote tweet from Zane Sparling showing an example of an attack of an Asian woman. Nope, I don't know. Is it a woman or is it a guy? That's a guy. But still, it's not okay. Considering the interesting statistic about that is that about 90% of all attacks against Asians in these hate crimes are being perpetuated by none other than Antifa and mostly their black members. And yes, black American, not as an African American. As I've said before, you're welcome to look up the definition I go by. If you don't like it, there's the door. Please don't let it hit you on the way out. I'd rather not have to fix the door or wash it. Alright, going back shortly after, before midnight, Antifa members John Hacker, who assaulted me in 2019, began asking me questions. I didn't answer and attempted to walk away, but a group of masked people in black followed and surrounded me. As they interrogated me, one managed to pull off my mask and immediately yelled, "That's Andy, get him, get him." As I sprinted through downtown Portland trying to flag down how there was no visible police presence. At Southwest 4th Avenue and out Southwest Morrison, one of the black-clad Antifa members tackled me to the ground in front of Pioneer Place Mall, punching my head and face repeatedly while I pleaded for them not to kill me. All the time, I could hear the angry cries and footsteps of mob approaching. Yeah, that is just not right, man. Yeah, I wanted to get this straight from the horse's mouth so I could get do my own judgment call. And, well, if he's doing it straightforward, as it looks straightforward to doing his journalism, especially finishing his book, you're welcome to go find this thread. The address is at the top of the screen. Screen grab if you can. If not, well, that's it. Yeah, this is messed up. Do I think he knew that he was going to someplace dangerous? Yeah, he's not stupid. Do I think he did it with integrity? It looks that way so far. Because here's the thing, most people don't get reason why I side on certain things, is that, as I explained in my secular 10 commandments, don't be a hypocrite. That's the first commandment. First and second commandment are basically just don't be a freaking hypocrite. Follow your morals to the logical conclusion and see them out. You'll live a much happier life, much more fulfilling, and so much more from being constantly beaten down by this unforgiving world. Look, people say he's not a journalist. Well, define journalist. Journalist, as far as I understand it, is someone who journalizes the news for other people to read and absorb in a timely manner. And right now, Andy Ngo fits in that bill. So yeah, he's a journalist. Do I think he should have done it like that? I honestly don't know. If I was in that same situation, and on this premise that everything he said over the past few years about antifa being what they are, he then yeah, if everything he says is 100% true, and he's not hiding anything, then yeah, on principle, I have to stand with him. Do I think he should have done that? Not without backup. And I mean, at least someone to run interference, hire a former linebacker or something like that. I understand you're taking care of family, Andy, but you don't go into dangerous situations alone, especially if you know people who know you, and they're the enemy. Obviously, Antifa has declared you their enemy, and they're going to use you as a target practice, and anyone around you as well. So, in conclusion, there are no angels in this story. There are no pure victims. On principle, Andy Ngo has the high ground because he's a journalist and is protected under the First Amendment. Then Antifa is just a terroristic group, needs to go shove off. And honestly, I advocate for the U.S. government to start treating them as the terrorists they are. Patriot Act and all. I'm sick of them. They've hurt too many people. Too many people have died. From David Dorn to Floyd. Because he actually believed what was going to happen in certain ways, and it ended in what appeared to be an accidental suicide by overdose. No matter what people say about the trial. To Marjorie, to all the different victims over the past year, from their homes, livelihoods, and everything. I have to stand on principle here. But again, if you're going to go someplace dangerous, always have an exit strategy. One where you can get out real quick. In areas where fireworks are not illegal, I recommend carrying a smoke bomb. Actually, no, I can't say that. I retract that. I recommend bringing a distraction device of some type. And keep in mind, I do not advocate using lethal force in this situation. Do I say you shouldn't? No. Do I advocate for it? No. If you have to, do what you have to survive. That's always been my philosophy. And so far, he hasn't honestly gone against anything in my particular type of philosophy. He seems to be one of the few true individuals on the internet, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is rare. So, yeah. Good luck, Andy. Don't get shot. And, in all honesty, I'd recommend getting body armor. Nothing big or ostentatious, but something like the one that Crowder wears. It has a soft form one from, I think it's Spartan body armor or something like that. Then he has a soft form vest, which allows you to more free movement than regular ceramic plate bulletproof vests, but does protect some part of most of your torso without having to wear much larger clothes. I'd wear a motorcycle helmet to protect my head because that's most important. Stupid phone. I'd wear a motorcycle helmet to protect my head. Sorry about that. Tip, people. Gotta love timeouts on devices. But yeah, this statement right here by Andy: no journalist in America should ever face violence for doing their job. Yeah, they shouldn't. But I'm a person who lives in the real world, and I know that there are scum and communists and other horrible people. I have to take it that as is. Does not mean I'm not going to stop living by my own morals. To paraphrase C.S. Lewis, just because Narnia does not exist does not mean I not shall live like a Narnian. Like a Narnian. The mouth does not want to work today. But. Chicken butt. You got to realize what's going to happen. Now, if that's true, and he understands everything about this, then yeah, I completely support him. 100% even more so. If he's doing it specifically for the narrative and making sure people see how antifa behaves. If that is his goal, then Andy Ngo, not only do you have my support, can I help? And people get surprised when I say things like this in situations like now. Why? Because Andy Ngo is trying to convey the narrative, which will overpower the narrative of popular culture and the legacy media control of popular culture. We must always remember that there's always more than what we see, and while there may not be conspiracies, there are a bunch of idiots in the world who think they know better than others. So yeah, Andy, you have my sympathy for your wounds. Do I think you should go out alone like that ever again? No. Especially if you're going to go do your work. I encourage preparedness, simple body armor. Heck, if you don't want to go for something big, considering the people you're dealing with tend to be soldiers, as the Quartering likes to refer to them as, then you don't need anything super heavy. I'd recommend like a BMX biker's protective chest plate. You easily fit on your clothes. You don't need anything truly bulletproof, because they pull out the guns, you're going to be dead anyway. Unless you go for a full body armor, which would make you stand out like a freaking flame in the middle of the night sky. People will be able to see you for miles. So otherwise, be prepared. That's what my main message is. Don't trust them. Don't trust anyone in this. Well, in anything that might cause them anger, because they're going to take it out on you. Well, that's it, everybody. This is Fatman InParadise, coming once again in paradise, giving you my take on whether or not journalists should be able to do their job. Real journalists? Yes. Fake journalists, like CNN? Please leave. I'm tired of talking about you. Yeah. Otherwise, that's it. I might put another video up. I'm going to start trying to put more videos up like this every few days, or whenever I get a chance. And right now, this stuff about Andy is coming up to a head. He's an interesting individual. If you want to see what he did really like and why I'm making judgment calls like this, is that the interview between Dave Rubin and Andy Ngo was extremely informative. Yeah, that's going to be it. Aloha and God bless. Oh, well, I guess the whole thing decided to crap out on me then. All right. I did the whole thing without recording it. I'm an idiot. Well, anyway, this is about Andy Ngo and why we've got to be careful about what's going on here. No journalist in America should ever be faced violence for doing his or her job. Honestly, I would use a generalized term they, or their, but that's life. And everyone likes to use the words that they like to use for whatever reason at all. So, yeah, I recommend everyone else looking into this themselves. Link these Twitter threads at the top. You just need to look up Andy Ngo. Actually, you'll find this thread. He's been harassed for the past 2 years in nasty ways. And yeah, I think Andy Ngo's right. And we need to work on that. Aloha.